Hey Lan, hi folks, it's Lev. Welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new and using pronouns, I realized that with filming with this mic indoors, it has this weird, I don't know if it's called white noise, but there's this weird like ambient sound thing constantly throughout the video. I don't know how to get rid of it, I'm sorry. Um, yeah, but the recording with the mic does sound better than without the mic and just recording with my phone. Today's video, I wanted to talk about how video games have helped me, and I guess the benefits I've found from playing video games, and disclaimer that this is not like scientific research evidence or anything like that. I'm not going to be talking about scientific research or studies. It's more like my personal experience and how I found it helpful and beneficial, and how it's like sort of improved me as a person. So the order in which I'm saying this is not like the order of importance, or I'm not ranking any of these points. It's just what comes to mind first. So the first point I'm gonna say is like the first thing that comes to mind. It's not the most helpful thing I found about playing video games or the thing I value most highly about playing video games. It's just the order in which I recall things. First thing I can think of is that it forces me to think of plans like on the spot. So with games like The Last of Us, and I'm currently playing this game, I played this game on Survivor, which is like the second hardest difficulty after Grounded, and I'm playing this on Nightmare, which is the second hardest difficulty. And what I mean by formulating plans is, with The Last of Us for example, I play by stealth. Like, I try to stay as stealthy as possible and kill enemies using stealth where I can, instead of using my loud gun and just attracting all of the enemies towards me, unless that's my plan. With this game, it's not really a stealth game, but I come up with plans as in I hide behind cover, because I tried running in, for example, into a group of enemies, just like going berserk on all of them, but then my health just go bub 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 and I die. So realizing that trying that plan doesn't work. Luckily with games, when I die, I revive. It's not like real life where if someone dies, they can just have another life. I've tried, running in, it doesn't work. Like with bosses, for example, just going in and gunning it doesn't work. I have to dash around the enemy. One of my plans earlier today, I was like versing a mini boss that took me like an hour to kill because I kept dying and repeating the same thing until I actually killed the boss. Because again, I'm playing on the second hardest difficulty, which means every time the enemy hits me, I take a significant amount more health, and the enemies are just like smarter. Yes, so my first play was just running and gunning it. It didn't work, and then I kept moving around the arena, and then I found cover. And then part of formulating plans on the spot and learning from trial and error is understanding the behaviors of the enemies. Like so most of the games I play are like with computer enemies, not like, I don't really play online. Understanding the behavior of the computer enemies, because they tend to have a pattern. Like with the boss earlier that I was versing in Rage 2, the mini boss, it shot me in a particular way, it moved in a particular way, so, and then I started understanding its weakness, and then just leveraging its weakness in order to kill it. So it's like plan A doesn't work, okay, just rapid accumulation of new information, and then rapid formulation of a new plan. Because doing the same thing over and over, I kept dying. I'm like, okay, maybe I can actually do it this time. And it's like, nope, this strategy is completely not working. I need to form a new one, or just do different things, because the way I'm doing things right now is not working. So quick learning, acquiring information, and then formulating new plans accordingly. And part of this formulation of plan also depends on the resources I have, and playing on more harder modes, ammunition for some games is more limited. So being smart about my ammunition, because if I just waste it all in one go, later on I have no ammo, and then it just makes my life harder when I try to kill enemies, for example. Resource management. Secondly, it's actually trained my brain and my nervous system in a way to be able to confront stress and deal with it in the moment. With games like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which I love by the way, and I'm currently playing Outlast, so these are like horror games. I love horror games ever since I overcame my fear of horror. I also played where is it? The Evil Within, and I've also played The Evil Within 2. And these horror games have an element of like suspense, and there's a lot of darkness, and well, I guess for some parts of the game there's a lot of darkness, and that adds more pressure because I'm like, I don't know what's coming up and I don't know where the enemy is, especially Outlast, right? Outlast is a game where I cannot fight at all. I am a journalist in this like asylum that used to be like a mental health hospital, and then I only can run or hide. I cannot fight. There is no option to fight. Like I can't pick up a knife and stab the enemy. Like my character only runs or fights, and I'm playing in first person, and the only way I can see in the dark is to use the night vision on the video camera that I have as part of the game. And there's also batteries, and I'm playing on hard, so they gave me a decent amount of batteries. I tried playing the second hardest mode, the second hardest difficulty. I kept dying. I'm like, I can't play on this difficulty. I lowered the difficulty. I'm playing on hard. But the point is, it's stressful, like, especially when I don't know where enemies are. They could just come around the corner and kill me, which has happened before. It made me jump scared. And then there were points where the enemy saw me and I'm like, right, bolt. It's like quick thinking as well, like, alright, the enemy saw me, they're down the corridor in Outlast. I have time, what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna bolt to? And I'm like, bolt, you can't stay here. Bolt, try to hide. If you can't hide, run far away until the enemy gets bored of you and they stop chasing you. And yeah, there's also some parts in like The Evil Within where I was like running from enemies too. And it's also in The Last of Us. Where is it? Also in The Last of Us. It's stressful because if I like run into a corner, right? If I run into a corner, or run into a dead end, or run into an obstacle that's blocking my way and I can't get through it, the enemy catches up to me and I die. So it's like having to deal with this stress, making quick decisions about where to go, which, oh shit, do I turn left or right, which direction do I go in, and you know, how far is the enemy behind me? Like, are they right behind me? Are they like all the way down there? Like, it's like a lot of quick thinking under pressure and being able to act to survive in the pressure. It's nowhere near like real life scenarios, like if someone were actually put in like a hostage situation or a kidnapping. The game doesn't compare, but it's still quite stressful and having to think on my feet in order to save myself, otherwise I die in the game. It's only video games, but it's actually trained my nervous system as well to be able to react and think quickly in moments where I only have split seconds to act and I don't have like 10 minutes to think about something. The third thing I can think of is it helps me build my like visual spatial skills and like spatial navigation skills. What I mean by this, for example, is in Outlast there is no map. There is no map of like my environment. There's no map of where everything is, and when I walk through corridors and places in the asylum, I have to form a mental map of, okay, which turn did I take? What is the floor look like? How is this room situated in regards to this other room? Because like there are parts in the game where I have to go do something and I have to go back to my original position that I was at and I didn't have a map. So forming a mental map, being like, okay, yep, I went into that, I went that direction, I went that direction. Okay, this brings me back to where I was going. And there are also, and I should also say that it's, even with the night vision on, it's actually very blurry. Like, it's not like 4K vision. Like, it's dark. Night vision is blurry, and that adds to the game's difficulty and suspense and scare, I guess. But it's very hard to see still, even with the night vision on. And there were times where I was chased by the enemy, and I'm like, shit, I need to find a bed to hide under or a locker to hide in. And I had to remember where the rooms were with the beds or the lockers to hide in under stress. It's also important to remember where I've gone to, because in I talk about Outlast a lot because I can think of stuff. For example, there's like a part where you have to find 3 fuses for the elevator, the laundry elevator, and I have to remember, okay, there's like 3 different directions to go in, and the enemy just circles around all 3 spots. It's like, okay, remember, okay, I went in that direction before, I went down that corridor, and I haven't been down this corridor, so I have to go down this corridor and not go down this corridor again, which I have done. I'm like, sometimes I circle around, I'm like, shit, where have I gone and where have I not gone? And I'm like, wait, this thing looks familiar, I've been here before, go back, I have to go the other way because I've been here before, and the missing piece is in the other direction. Video games have definitely also helped, ignore my knee, it's also definitely helped with hand-eye coordination. I mostly play on console. I used to play League of Legends in my like high school years and early uni years, but I stopped playing League of Legends, which is a game on like PC, because of the toxicity of other players and how they always swear at me when I make mistakes or I don't do what they want, and they end up swearing at me if we like get killed or we lose the game. There's just a lot of toxic players on there, and I didn't like that environment, and it wasn't good for my mental health, so I completely got off League and I haven't played for years. So I mostly play console. I used to have a PlayStation 3 and play PlayStation 3 before we got PlayStation 4, and then now I mostly play PlayStation 4. But yes, the hand-eye coordination, like, for example, in most games actually, like first-person shooters for example, having to like know the controls and like which buttons do which and how to maneuver the character and like shoot enemies and not try not to die in like this chaotic environment. It's like I don't look at my hands when I play and do this. It's like subconsciously I look at the screen, and then I know what the buttons are, and then I know how to navigate my character and the weapons and using all the controls. I can understand that for someone who's never played video games before and being given a controller and being like asked to play like a first person shooter for example, it can be quite overwhelming because there's like the character movement, and then there's the camera angle, which is one of the moving the character, moving the camera angle, holding like the button to shoot, using the grenades, like the gear, the inventory, the skills. There's like a lot, and it just comes so natural to me because I play video games like literally my whole life. But yeah, that really helps us, like the whole hand-eye coordination thing. And the next thing is like it's sort of enhanced my problem solving skills, because with games like Tomb Raider, which I love, there's like a lot of puzzles. There's a lot of puzzles in the game, and just like figuring out how to solve puzzles has, I feel like it's helped me be able to think more more creatively in a way in like real world problems or like solving problems in general. And with the horror games like Resident Evil, and I also played Until Dawn, which is an awesome game, and there's also the other one, no I don't have to this one actually, and also this one, there's like Little Hope. These 2 games actually, Until Dawn, Little Hope. I've also played House of Ashes and Men of Medan. These are like character based decision making games, so we play as the characters and then we make decisions as the character. It's not really like a first person shooter or anything. It's more interactive story-based game where we make choices, and the choices we make determine the course of the story and the fate of the characters. And these games challenge me because they don't give me a very long time to make decisions, and I don't know whether the decision I make is going to get my character killed or keep my character alive. And the goal, I guess, for me was to like keep as many characters alive as possible and minimize the number of people who actually get killed in this game. And part of this is like learning how to trust myself and not being so hard on myself when I do make a decision that was not the right one, and then something terrible happens or my character gets killed. I'm still not very good at it, being easy on myself, because I tend to be very hard on myself. Even when I play games, I'm like, I shouldn't have picked that option. Now the character's gone, and like I didn't want him to die, or I didn't want them to die. It's teaching me how to trust myself and not be so hard on myself. It's training me to not be so hard on myself, and it's definitely something I'm still working on. And with some of the games too, it's really highlighted that sometimes I cannot fight fire with fire, and I must, instead of fighting fire with fire, I must outsmart the enemy. Especially games like The Last of Us, where I played on a very hard difficulty, and this game, which I'm playing on the second hardest difficulty, Nightmare. By outsmarting the enemy, I mean like luring them into corners. I go out, I shoot a few of them, they know I'm there, I lure them into a corner. I stay in a corner where they can't get me from behind, and the only way they can get to me is from my front view, and then I just lure them in. Especially Rage 2, I lure them into my little death trap, and then I shoot all of them, and they tend to come like one by one or in like groups of 2 or 3, but then the thing is they can't kill me from behind, because I tried running in and gunning all of them, or going to places where I don't have cover for my back and they shoot me from behind. I focus on the enemies in front of me, a few of them come behind me and start killing me from behind. So having to like outsmart the enemy sometimes, because I'm not gonna run into 30 enemies at once, because that's literally death. I've tried it, it's quite literally death, and I end up dying within 2 seconds. And with games like The Last of Us, like outsmarting the enemy, as in sometimes I don't even engage in combat. Where I can, sometimes I'm like, I'm not gonna try and fight you, I don't have enough ammo, I can't go stealth with you, it's just too many of you, you're too close to each other, if I stab one of you, the other one's gonna see me. So sometimes I just quietly sneak past them, and then I don't even fight them, because I'm like, it's not feasible, and I can't fight fire with fire, because again, I don't have enough resources, and it's just not smart given my current circumstances. So I just outsmart them by just sneaking past them sometimes. Not always possible, but yeah, it's just the way I play the game, it depends on my resources too, but usually when I play these types of games, I tend to go for the stealth option, if that's possible. If not, outsmarting the enemy. Another thing playing video games, especially like first person shooters, has done for me is like being able to keep track of a lot of information at the same time. Like in like a first person shooter where there's like a bunch of enemies trying to kill me, like I have to pay attention to like my health bar, my ammo, where the enemies are coming from, not get tunnel vision, which has happened multiple times, getting tunnel vision on one enemy, trying to kill one enemy, and there's like a bunch of enemies over here shooting me. So just my brain being able to keep track of a lot of information at the same time in a chaotic environment, and still be able to use the information and respond accordingly, which also leads to hand-eye coordination. I also tend to keep track of whether my ammo is reloaded, because I tend to always reload whenever I have a chance to reload. The last thing I want is to have one bullet in my gun, and then I want to kill an enemy, I shoot one bullet, and I have to reload, and then they stand and they shoot me, and then I die. So yeah, keeping track of a lot of information. Another thing I just thought of is like map reading. Not all games have a map, like Outlast, as I mentioned earlier. Outlast does not have a map, but with games like The Last of Us 2 and The Last of Us also didn't have maps. But games like Rage and Tomb Raider and also Diablo have maps, and an important part of, like, I'd say succeeding in the game is to know how to read the map. Like, there's a navigation map. Being able to read the map, being able to understand the keys on the map, the legend, and each game has its own different legend for different things, and the maps aren't always exactly the same. Being able to read maps and navigate direction as well are important parts of being able to succeed in playing these games. Because if we don't know where we're going, we can't complete the mission and progress in the game. All in all, like, video games have, like, taught me a lot of skills, and, like, reinforced a lot of skills, and continuing to reinforce a lot of skills, and trained my brain and my nervous system, and I guess trained myself in beneficial ways that positively impact in other areas of my life and my life in general. It's just trained me, and it's continuing to train me in a lot of different things, and just continuing to enhance very important skills like problem solving, navigation, map reading, spatial awareness, being able to be aware of a lot of information, process a lot of information, filter out possibly irrelevant information in chaotic environments, and, you know, plan formulation, and a lot of quick trial and error. This is like a lot of things that are like subconsciously learned and reinforced from playing video games. And I don't think this is an exhaustive list, but I can't think of anything else at the moment. Thanks for watching, folks, and I will see you in the next video.